We'll call this July 9th Falmouth County Commission meeting to order. Commissioner Piker, will you lead us to the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. The first item on the agenda, we will change it up. Instead of Ted Hickey, we will have Jennifer with us today with NECOG, South Dakota Department of Transportation Community Access Grant.
All right, you guys want me to?
So just step right up, Jennifer.
Dirk's familiar with the project too? I don't know.
I was a little delinquent in coming to you guys and telling you what it is in general. So this is basically a project for Frederick Main Street. It's basically just the highway over to County 10, including the part in town there. And we're just going to apply for a grant, and if we get it, great. And if we don't get it, we'll just do it the way we normally do stuff. Or a little better maybe, but yeah, it's to upgrade the road. And I'm sorry, Jennifer, I'm hogging your time.
Go for it, no.
The reason, just to give you a little background, the reason that this kind of came up at this time is, and correct me if I don't have this timeline stuff right, Jennifer, the city of Frederick already has a project going, or a grant, where they're upgrading their water and sewer, or is it just water?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, and so that, in the process of that, they were looking at what other additional things they could do to enhance that, and so that's how we kind of came in to, all right, well, as long as we're doing this, why don't we apply for a grant too, and we'll get Frederick all nice and shiny at the same time. So, all right.
Yeah, so Brown County controls the center portion, the middle 24 of that road from 281 to, through their main street. And then the project also includes it's some area going north, right, to the school as well for you guys.
Probably the elevator.
It's from
to the elevator.
It goes to the elevator, as well as our shop.
And so last night at the Frederick meeting, they approved, or they passed their resolution to submit an application for the remaining portion of the road that they control, and then some other area as well. And that's in conjunction with a sewer project that's already been funded. And so a lot of times when DOT reviews the applications, they take that into consideration if there's another project in conjunction with it. I don't know if it scores higher on their criteria, but it definitely gets an additional look at it. But the program's highly competitive throughout the state, so anything that can kind of help us, boost the top of the pile is always a good thing. So they would be done in conjunction with the Frederick applied for their community access grant, and then this would be the next portion of that. There's a resolution, if you decide to move forward with the application, that would need to be approved at today's meeting. I think it was emailed out earlier. The county's responsibility from a funding standpoint would be 20% of the construction costs and the engineering, so it ends up being closer to 60-40 split on the project. The engineer, it looks like you guys had some Helms do an estimate. Do you guys typically, do you want to know the numbers on that?
Yeah.
Okay. So construction, it looks like, is $416,000 with contingencies at about 10%. And then the DOT grant would be a $364,000 grant. $364,912 is the number on that. And then the local share, including engineering in your portion of construction, would be $193,128. Again, if it's something that Dirk would already have to put into his budget and find a way to fix anyway, this is probably a more economical way to tackle that project. So, are there any questions at all about the application or the project?
Is that a project to be done in 19?
No,
I mean 20.
Yeah, in 20, yeah. So they typically announce their awards, I believe, in December, or is it earlier? They actually, once the applications are submitted, they come out on site and they look at they do an on-site evaluation of every application that comes in. So they typically, they'll coordinate that with Dirk, and then they go back to their office and decide what they want to fund at a later time. So So yeah, that'd be a 2020 project.
There's, in this scenario that she's presenting, if we got awarded the grant and walked through the process and just, you know, used it like normal, most likely that would be bid out. It would be a totally standalone project. We'd hire a contractor. It would be, we just make sure it got done. We'd pretty much have, we being, you know, county highway would pretty much have our hands off it other than just managing the project to whatever extent. If we don't go this route and we were gonna do it, then we would just do it ourselves with, you know, I do the engineering and we just go out with our people and do it. So it's, what ends up happening, and you've heard me talk about this before with these grants, is utilizing the grant, going through that process, we will probably end up with a more durable product, or I don't want to say better, because I'm into serviceable, you know. We're going to end up in the same place either way. There'll be more quality control, better engineering, and, you know, there's more value in doing the project this way. Our out-of-pocket on this for the county is like $191,000. If we did this similar work ourselves, it might be $30,000 less in true money and substantially less in budget impact, because we're going to pay our people anyway. You know what I mean? But having said that, I think we should just, you know, I'd recommend that we go through this process. We don't have to accept the grant if it does get awarded, and it's not something where, oh my goodness, we got a complete disaster. If we don't get the grant, we'll just attack it a different way. So,
And I will say on the timeline, that can be affected by because the sewer mains have to go in under the highway. And so if any kind of delays happen in that project, I don't believe they've bid that project yet. So, or if the design gets delayed or whatever, if anything happens there, obviously we can't do the road until all the underground work has been done. So there's a possibility it could get pushed back to 21, just depending. I don't know how big that project is or what they're tackling first, because it's not a project I'm managing. But
when do we find out?
Usually around December, I think, and you can have the discussions. I will say you're not required to move forward if you do get funded, but I always try to be aware of the other communities submitting. You know, if it takes an opportunity away from somebody else. So I'd hope that if you're moving forward that you at least are somewhat serious about doing the project. But nothing requires you to take it. You can always walk away from it if it's not something you think you can achieve at that time. So
if we get it, I don't know any reason we wouldn't. I mean, I took 10 south of Frederick there, and so many of those kids that come to the school are from south and east of town. And 10 is really nice right now. You guys have done a great job with that, where it connects to 5, and so this would be the last piece to kind of bring those kids into town. So I think it's a good deal.
It's natural timing with the water project.
And that's a big, you know, that's really a motivating factor. The other thing is the difference between, you know, the estimate of using the grant and what I would estimate us if we just did it ourselves. That difference in this case isn't a large amount of money. We've had these grant scenarios before where we were talking like 700 versus 200, not 190 versus 160. So perhaps this is an opportunity where we can utilize it pretty efficiently, I guess.
Well, I would move the resolution.
Second.
okay. And I think do they have it in their packets, or do I need to hand
We
it
don't.
out?
We have it.
Okay.
So this is considered 3/4 of a mile is what they're doing?
Is that what
Well, project length 3/4 of a mile.
Right,
Yep.
because what happens is you get out of the city limits, and then the road becomes the last piece going over to 10. We'll just, I'm sorry, Carly, I'm waving my hand. I will. We'll finish that as well as
soon as you get
part of
past
our
the
regular
school.
paving. Yeah,
As soon as
I
you
would
get
assume
past
that.
the
Yeah,
school,
so
and
it
it's
says the junction
the
of
county
US
highway.
281 to the east end of the school in Frederick.
Yeah. So it's basically the
And
property
then
line.
and then it
city
includes
limits.
Railroad Avenue from 10A north for 3 blocks, which is the elevator.
So how do they come up with population 35,460?
That's us, the
So
county.
it's the county.
County, they just do
The
the county all
county.
in.
Because
Haven't you
the
been to
county
Frederick lately?
the applicant, essentially what they would be looking at there is, you know, they kind of look at who benefits from the project if they award it. Now, me as a Brown County citizen, I might not benefit because I don't use it, but that's essentially what they're looking at. Now, if it was the city of Frederick, theirs is going to be whatever their population is. So,
Isn't there a population requirement? I mean, that's not capped. I thought they would have like a 6,000 population limit on there.
So this is what the community access
Yeah.
portion of the funds?
this is just DOT, the population is just gonna be the county, in this application, it's just gonna be the county's total. There'd be really no way, essentially, there's nobody in Brown County who isn't allowed to drive on that road,
I
so.
see.
So, yeah, there are certain programs that we have that you have to be under a certain population to be eligible, but this
Okay.
isn't one of them.
All right.
Is there a reason why we don't go the rest quarter mile to 5? Because this looks like you're stopping at the school going west, so we're not going to 5.
It's not to 10, you mean, but
Or to 10.
the grant has to be specific to the
Community.
The community, yeah. We'll do the last 20, I mean, the quarter
On your
mile
own.
of paving, we'll just do it ourselves.
Gotcha. Okay.
Matter of fact, if it hadn't rained, we would already have had this paved over to the school from 10, but it rained last year, and I got tired, and we gave up, pushed it back.
Rain again.
And then it's been raining ever since.
Any other questions?
I was just gonna tell you, we noticed a little bit, an error on one of them, so we'll get you a new page. It's not a signature page, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
But it was just off by $2,000. I think it was a typo maybe when he was entering the information, so.
Okay.
So we have a motion by Piker, a second by Weiss to adopt a resolution to apply for the community access grant. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Jeffy.
Kathy, I'll leave these, and then Ted will pick them up sometime, whenever. They just need signatures.
Is this going to be a sign or signature?
Yeah, I can look.
Okay, I'll let you have that. That's all we have. Next item on the agenda, we have Judy Dosh, Building Superintendent, discuss the 2020 budget. Is Judy here?
Oh, yeah.
Morning,
Well,
dude. Good morning.
Morning.
Hello. Shiny new keys.
Yes.
So you want to discuss your 2020 budget?
I do.
What's the discussion about?
Can't cut me.
Well, thanks for
Well,
stopping.
Bye.
Thanks for coming. Do we need a motion on that?
Yes, please.
Make it an
ordinance.
Nope, I just wanted you guys to know that, actually, if you add my two numbers together, I'm lower than what I was in 2018. What puts me up is I'm paying for the buildings. That's what puts me up. So I said, that's why I said, please don't cut me. And then I have my projects, the courthouse roof, we need to get a new roof on that. And basically, for the next probably 4 years, I'm going to be doing a roof a year because the buildings are needing them. So just so that you're aware of that. And I want to take care of the water storage tank. I can actually pass you, I can actually pass you my phone around.
That's dangerous.
That's dangerous. Maybe I shouldn't pass my phone around? Anyway, it's going to need to be fixed, and it's really a big water tank, and let's see if I got it. It's like a 2,500 gallon water tank, and it's going to take quite a bit to get it cut out because it's up in the air, and what we're going to have to do is put in 2 smaller ones. But
Where's it at?
it's in the boiler room. That's what it's starting to do. It's big.
And that's just a cold water storage.
It's a hot water storage.
Oh, it is hot water
Yep.
storage.
Yep.
For the boiler system.
No, it's for all the water,
Looks like
for
it's
the
about ready to
showers.
blow.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then, we're having trouble with this air conditioner here. It needs a new condenser and a new, the coil.
Side.
Right now, I'm on this side. Right now I'm running on stage 2 all the time, just to do it. So I'm hoping to get through the summer, and then,
It hasn't even got hot yet.
next spring, we can fix it.
So what projects did we do big this year, just to make note that we, I mean, I know we bought the building. What other big projects?
Well,
did
I'm
we
kind of
do?
holding out, well, I was doing the building over there, remodeling that, and I'm trying to...
And that came
I
out
would
of
put-
everybody else's, though, or did you end up putting
Oh,
some
I
into?
ended up putting into that too.
About how
So,
much, do you know?
No. mm-mm.
Because I remember when we moved to the building, the
Yeah.
departments had said they would
Yeah.
find cuts
Yeah.
in their own to help you
Yeah,
out.
and they did help me out. They paid for a lot of the things, like in December, which really helped out. And that's why some of the other things that we're gonna do, I'm hoping that I can get it into the budget, this year, depending on not all my, repairs that I've had to do here, so, so.
So no other big projects for current year other than that building?
Well, I'm gonna do I'm doing some track lighting for the museum.
Okay.
And then I was going to look at their fire alarm system. And I was just kind of holding off on that, because if I have to push that another year, I can, to kind of cover what we're doing.
Gotcha.
For the the TR building and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of holding out on that, yeah, so. So do you guys have any questions?
You get an estimate on what the hot water tanks are gonna be?
Yes, it's on my list, right at the bottom.
57,000.
57,000,
Way at the
right at
bottom.
the bottom. I got 80,000 for the courthouse roof, and that's just the rubber part, because I have steel on the pitch. And then the water storage tank, and then the condenser. So that's what my number is up there, and
Okay.
the 42517.
So the 3 projects total $167,000.
Yeah.
Your repairs and maintenance, that's what's covered in case something disastrous happens that we don't have planned? Is that what you're...
No, that's, my repair and my maintenance is for all the problems that we have throughout the year, the plumbing and all,
Ongoing.
all the ongoing stuff and little things that end up that I have to do, yep. Yep.
If you have some major thing break, there's really nothing built in for that.
I have nothing built in, no, I did.
I did something to get that one.
Right. Yeah, I don't pad, if that's what you're asking.
Well, I wasn't asking about that, I just, sometimes as old as this courthouse is getting, you have things that
I do.
happen that can go $20,000-$30,000 pretty fast.
Emergency,
boom.
I do, and then that's why I have to cut something else, like,
Mhm.
right now I'm holding on the fire alarm for the museum, because I got these other things that we're trying to get paid for and do, and so.
So last year, it looks like we had put in an extra, the 15,000 for the track lighting is what you were talking about, the museum.
Yeah.
We put in 15,000 for that. We upgraded the museum fire alarm system, we put in an
That, I'm holding on that.
the 40,000 is still there to upgrade
I'm
the fire.
Yep.
And then you'd requested 243,000, that was the JDC women's section, we cut that out.
You cut
last
that out
time.
totally, and I have to do that at some point in time too, so whatever we cut out, whenever we cut, we've
And
got to
then
do
the-
it at some point in time, but.
And then the remodel cost for the First Street office
Yeah, you
building,
gave me
we
50.
requested a quarter and we put 50 in,
Yep.
just so we know what we added for big projects for the current year. Was the 50 enough, once you got help from the other departments for over here, or was there more than enough, or?
It was good. I was happy. It helped a lot.
Now that insurance, 50,000 for insurance, does that include all county buildings?
That's what my portion is normally. Yep.
But it wouldn't include like fairgrounds?
No.
It would just be the courthouse
All-
complex,
yep, all the-
and sheriff's office, and,
Yep, and the extension and the...
well, and the
those
new
kind of
building, the
buildings, yeah.
124.
Yep, yep, yep. That's for the buildings and for the boilers and that kind of stuff.
Any other questions?
And like with the snow, holy cow, we don't know what's snow either, so.
Going back
Last
to-
year was a...
Well, it's not gonna snow you until December.
You know, with the way the temperature is, I wish it would snow
It hasn't even got hot yet.
Going back to 2017, 368,000, what was that?
Oh, gosh.
On
that,
repairs and maintenance?
well,
One
see,
goes the elevator, wasn't it?
yeah, and see, they've kind of changed too, so it hasn't been that long that we've had the 42517 just for construction projects. So everything for repairs and maintenance was in that.
Will we see any savings if we do get Mellon sold in your line item for heat and electricity once that building's off? Because we were at,
No. I should have got a copy of what I have left in my budget right now. I don't have that. But, I mean, you'll have a little bit, but I'm going to be taking it up someplace else. Because the snow, I'm way up on yes, sir. I'm over a lot of my line items. I know that.
it just is annoying because all these lights everything's supposed to be more efficient these days. Well, between now and last year, we're going to be 20,000 more than we were the year before.
Yeah,
So
but
you
I have to
think
plan,
we'd see
yeah.
some cost
Nope.
savings somewhere.
Yep.
I guess that's an argument there for why we keep things condensed and don't open up another building, but we don't go there, right, Doug? Is the roof something that has to be done all one phase? Probably more efficient that way, or can we do tack?
You got a section already.
And I'm gonna plan on next year doing the highway roof, and then, I'll have to do the courthouse. 'Cause that's starting to pull away. And, you know, they're all, like the courthouse roof is like 26 years old, this is like 23, and they're at there. And then, just for you that you know, like the 124 building, the warranty is up. Of course, we don't have no warranty on it because, you guys bought it. So it was in Nord, but anyway, that's up in 2018, so basically by the time I get these other roofs done, that roof's gonna need it.
How about tuck pointing or anything like that on the brick face?
Yep, at some point in time, I wanna look at that, because it's been a few years that I've had the courthouse tuck pointed, and, so I've had them, I think it's 2 years ago, they came and looked, and I was still okay, so I didn't have anything major, so probably next year I'll have to have them come again.
Did the highway department?
I did that last year.
Shop that got done? Wasn't there some kind of a sealer or something
Mhm.
that got done?
They tuck pointed, we did a lot of work out there last year. Tuck pointing, and then it ended up when I was walking around looking, and then I had to have some work done on their windows, the sills were coming out. And then, we had it sealed. But no, they were missing a lot of blocks. They had a hard time finding some of those blocks. So get a roof on that, and next year, or the year after, and we'll...
Yeah, if you don't take care of the buildings, it'll catch up with you.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Millen building gets sold, just in heat and lights and water and janitorial, it's about 20 grand, plus then you got the snow removal, which I don't know what that was last year, but you're gonna be probably looking at 25,000 less once the Millen building gets shut down, just in those items. And
Depending on what we have to do, like, I don't know how, like the driveway where, that it's going to the impound, I don't know if that's going to be the responsibility of whoever is going to get the building, or being that we go back there and there's a portion, are we still gonna have to maintain that to get our people back there? You know, I don't know. However you guys figure it out. Maybe divide that up and...
Are we selling the entire lot clear over to the west? Or are we actually keeping a driveway up through there? How?
Well, you guys get an easement for that.
There's
But
an existing
access,
access
yeah.
easement, but it's
Yeah.
on the lot, so
Yeah.
yeah, the lot will be sold with the building.
Yeah, but see, when you get back to that post, it kind of ends there. So I'm gonna say you have probably, see how far would that post be from the other, 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot? But, you know, they're not gonna wanna clean that, you know, so.
Of course, yeah, for the impound, you'd have to, in the wintertime, they'd have to be opened or snow removed.
And
so-
we do that, I kind of leave that up to like, well, Dave does, I said, no, you know, like, because I'm not out there driving through the snow, and then when it gets to be where they start having trouble, then, I have them clean it. Like last year, I think we cleaned that lot like 3 times, you know. And, you know, some years you don't have, just depends on how the wind blows and how it clears off, you know, so.
Has there been any cost estimate as to moving the water meter over to the weed building?
Nope.
Or what else? There was something else?
Electricity.
Electricity
Yeah.
meter.
Yeah.
You haven't got a cost estimate on that?
Mm-mm. So I actually, had a company come yesterday, and, he's figuring out the cost. I've called 3 people, and, one had came, and, he's figuring out the cost for the water. And, I've already filled the paperwork out for Northwestern Energy, and that'll be just the cost of, I think it's, they pay like 150, for like 150 foot of the wire, and I think our footage is like 232, so it'll be just 150 from the 232, so we'll just pay that portion of it, and, so.
So there'll be just a water meter added to the weed building, and the water meter will be left on the Millen building.
I'll just check.
And the same thing with the electric meter, there'll be a meter added over it.
Yep.
And have we decided anything as far as bathroom, restroom facilities over at the...
Well, they have a porta potty there now, they've had that for years, so, that would be really costly for sewer, I asked.
Because there's no sewer there.
It's really...
Wow.
Any other questions for Judy? I guess we're good to go.
Thank you.
At this point, yeah.
So do we
So you're not gonna
make
make a budget or a motion to...
Yeah, do we make a motion to approve her budget?
So when I leave here, I know what's approved.
What?
Acknowledge that that's
Oh.
sincere.
Yeah.
That's all that to them.
All right.
Thanks, Judy.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That takes care of our agenda items. Do we have anything else to come before the commission before we go into some stuff Kathy has? Kathy, you want to take care of something?
Yeah, we have minutes from July 2nd.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss, to approve the general meeting minutes from July 2nd. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Claims and payroll.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Thacker, second by Kifley, to approve claims and payroll. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
HR report.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss, to approve the HR report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Fair contract.
Second.
Moved by Weiss, second by Thacker, to approve the fair contracts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Uncollectible tax list.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kifley, to approve the uncollectible tax list. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Acknowledge quarterly interest report.
So, second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Piker, to acknowledge the first and second quarterly interest reports. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Abatement?
Move.
Second.
Moved by Piker, second by Sutton, to approve the abatements. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Leases?
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kipley, to approve the leases. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Third quarter emergency management state and local agreement?
Move. Second.
Moved by Weiss, second by Piker, to approve the third quarter emergency managed state and local agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's everything we have.
Do we have to
We
authorize the chair
did-
to sign?
We did that resolution,
First
we
item.
was here.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that was that.
Gary, do you have anything?
Just if you wanted to talk about the employee picnic a little bit, what you wanted to do.
Yeah, we have the letters that we normally send out to a few of the sponsors. I guess the question is, do we want to continue down that? I guess.
I don't know what other option we have, unless we're all gonna pony up and pay for it here.
Out of the commission budget?
No, it's
Oh.
out of our pocket.
People have been good about contributing.
Yeah, I think we send them again.
Yeah.
You want
Take
to
off
send
the
to the
guys.
same groups, or,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
there's
one-
a few of those that haven't, that really haven't did any work here, but.
Do we have any
It
new
doesn't
groups we
matter.
could probably add?
One, I mentioned Helms,
Yeah.
that we could possibly add, but some of those for the jail are, haven't did anything since, and
Sure.
so it's up to you.
He's no longer in business. Putting asphalt.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few,
Could send it to Jensen's office.
yeah,
Changed it.
can do that.
Go ahead and send them out. Probably add the one, change the one and add the new, and
Take the couple, 3 off. All right. We'll take care of it. Do you want to sign?
if you want to change.
Did anyone have problems
Yeah,
with
I'll
Patty
do that.
doing that
Yeah,
job with
let me know.
Communication Council?
Sounds good.
Pardon me?
Did anybody have any issues alleviating that from Gary's plate and putting Patty in there for Communication Council, taking notes? Mine was always there anyway, so he was fine with it, if we are.
Works for me.
Works for me.
Okay, I'll let Kent know that.
Good.
Anything else to come before the commission? This would be a historical day.
So we're gonna stay and work on budget?
Connie, I
Probably
thought
better
Chris
for
was
an hour
coming in,
or so.
did he decide not to?
I think next week.
Okay. All right.
So do we have to
No-
adjourn, or do we just
Nothing on the
recess?
end, we said we'd
Oh,
quiet.
I guess I don't
Generally,
know.
we adjourn.
I'll
So
move
we're
to
not gonna-
adjourn.
yeah.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are